It's not a bad thing that the universe grows. I mean, it went from a Big Bang, presumably, to roughly the equivalent of a very, very small atom, through this extraordinary unfolding and growth. And all of it is an increase in consciousness as well. Consciousness, I believe, goes all the way down. I believe there's a little spark of consciousness in atoms, but not enough to, like, let's say, make a movie or watch, have a really good game of bingo or shit like that. Atoms can't do that. But so grows, and all of a sudden you get into vegetative forms, animal forms, and then all of a sudden human beings, and then all of a sudden, theologians.
Did you say?
And
did you say bingo?
Yeah, atoms can't play bingo. That's a very high form of evolution. That's only in the Protestant religion. Bingo is a form of Eucharist. Yeah,
that's after they say prayer.
That's all they do.
21.
21.
That's
Bingo.
Good. I got it.
Got it.
Go.
And then God favors you.
Clearly.
That's right. And if you didn't win bingo, it's because you're sinned.
Clearly.
Then you talk to Jerry Falwell.
Praise God.
That's right. But it's also one of the religions you can buy your way out, and that's really important.
Oh, we've changed that. We can do that.
Well, Martin Luther had a few things to say about that. Really kind of
did. He did.
The problem is, at that point, you're looking at this blog you wrote yesterday, and you're supposed to be omniscient, omnipotent, all good. But again, as he said, you can be any of those two, but you can't be all three. Categorically, you can't be all three at the same time. So that little dilemma right there gave theologians a job for 1,000 years, and it was a good job because they had to kind of figure out how to do that. Now, and that's how to figure out how to make today's blog square with yesterday's, because God is growing up and changing. But you can't abandon God, because if God wrote, whatever you do, these are like 10 commandments, for example, whatever you do, you have to follow these. If you break these, you're going to burn in hell forever. Now, cut, 300 years later, 500 years later, and you're stuck with these 10 rules, and the world's getting much more complex. And you go, okay, what am I going to do with those puppies? Theologian. So you turn to theologians, and what do you get? You just heard. You get this extraordinary, how do you grapple with it? Now, it's an extremely important thing that Mark did, because in my opinion, it represents spirits wrestling with its own evolution. And that's an extremely important. We all do it in our own way. We all absolutely do it in our own way. Brother David shared the fact that he came down to the only thing that can be all powerful is love. And however we wrestle with that, whether you do it theologically or not, you do it every single day of your life. Because there is an intuition in you of something that is all-knowing and all-powerful and all-deep. This radical intuition of ever-present spirit. But guess what? It won't fit into the finite world. That's the definition of the finite world. It's transitory. Like I say, the object comes, stay a bit, torture you, and leave. So how do you reconcile this very Augustinian kind of argument, how do you reconcile this intuition that you're eternal? You all know you're eternal. You know it. Way down deep, you just know it. And way down deep, you know that you're plugged into this ever-present, absolutely infinite spirit. And yet, oops, your left toe's dropping off and you got rotten teeth and you're starving, and that doesn't seem to fit. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Omniscient, omnipotent, and all those are theological terms. We're talking about how do you reconcile these two things? You both know they're true. And that's the dilemma. It doesn't matter what it is that drives you crazy. And what happens is, the reason grasping is a problem is, we take this intuition of perfection and we apply it to finite things. Usually we start doing this in relationships. And the person we're with is absolutely a god or a goddess. And then you get proof of there's the intuition I knew. It's in that person right there who just slept with somebody else.
That's the topic of our after lunch dialogue.
And that's where if you're a theologian, you go, okay, wait a minute, omniscient, knowing, okay, that's not going to work. All good. Son of a bitch ain't all good. So let's cross that one out. That's what we're facing all the time.